Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated summer tier list for Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team. But yeah, before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and then a affiliate link at Element Games if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, because we had a recent balanced Dataslate, an emergency one, I feel that is probably going to be the Q3, the autumn balanced data slate. So unless the meta, falls apart with whatever happens in season 3, which I'm sure will be announced soon, I decided I'll just update the tier list. So it's weird because, it's only been about 6-7 weeks, maybe 8. I've left it a bit to try and space out because, normally I do tier lists after every balanced data slate because the meta has changed, and it has changed quite significantly with the latest balanced data slate. So I'll get into it. I remember, as the tiers before, it's just a guideline. It's to represent if you want to practice at events. Like S tiers really like to win an event, or top, and it's partly based on the stats as well. A is slightly less powerful than S, has a few less bad matchups. B is, still pretty powerful, but has a lot of bad matchups, more likely to go 3-1 at an event. Then you've got C tier, which is middle of the road. D tier, where you've got more bad matchups and you're more likely to go 1 win, 3 losses. And then as we progress down, the worse it gets. So that kind of thing. The tier list is kind of only, it's a guideline. Obviously, if you're more experienced with a faction, it's going to differ with your experiences, but this is just a general guideline for players who are not experienced with factions and are trying to look at what to play or what they need to watch out for. So let's get into it. So once again, in the E tier, we have no F tier. F tier is gone. F tier is gone. So E tier is still Necrons, Tau, and Kroot. They're just the standard compendium teams. Nothing's really changed there. Then in D tier, we have most of the rest of the compendium teams. These are just pretty much okay. They vary in power a bit, from the selection of them all. But, they're quite a few leagues below. They're just kind of outclassed by what exists already. So it's not the West burst. It's not like they're horrible, but it's just they're kind of outclassed by all the teams above them. Now we have the C tier. So for the bespoke, the compendium teams in C tier, we have Imperial Guard, Talons of the Emperor, Death Guard, and Tyranids, all the cream of the crop when it comes to compendium teams, borderline bespoke teams. I'm still surprised Compendium Guard hasn't been deleted. They still have ballistic skill 3, whatever they're called, Scions, and they can take 2 plasmas and 2 melters. So that's kind of the standout thing. But it's still a solid kill team. Talons of the Emperor, pretty good on Into the Dark, okay-ish everywhere else. Death Guard are just, depends on how their 5-up DPR rolls go, and Tyranids can be quite solid as well. Then for bespoke teams, we have Wormblade. Once again, I think they're just at C tier overall. You do have spikes with players who are very experienced with them, or they run into a lot of players who don't know how they work. But I feel C tier is appropriate for them. And then we've got Warp Coven, who I think their buffs are pretty good. The main thing is now they can take security or recon no matter what configuration they have. But I feel like they're still just missing something. Remember, they're Marines, even though they're free APL base, unless they're within range of a sorcerer, they can only move red during their activation. That's still a limitation. And your Zangors are pretty basic, and they have really bad faction tac ops. And they're just kind of an old archaic team. They're much better on Into the Dark. But overall, I think C tier is appropriate for them. They might just be in B tier, but for now, I think C tier is appropriate. Then we have Kazakin. Kazakin, I think, are solid, but the problem is the elite meta is kind of gone. So because now they're not actually hunting elites, they're fighting teams that are the same size or bigger. That's what's brought them down, I think. If elites become into resurgence, then they go up. But at the moment, I think C tier is good, but they're probably one of the best teams in C tier, maybe the best. And then we've got Halfkin Salvager. This kill team is a lot better, but I need to see it more, and Into the Dark really brings them down. And if we go into open for season 3, there's no more Into the Dark, I think they'll rise up. But for now, I feel C tier is still appropriate. They love power knives, the plasma knives, sorry. They're a lot better, but I feel they're missing something, but we'll need to see how their buffs play out. Then for B tier, I put Pathfinders in B tier. I actually wanted to put them in C tier, but I think B tier reflects their overall buff, because they're still a threat on open. Kaon is okay, but you only really pop it on loot, and Into the Dark is kind of situational. The guard thing is nice, you know, being on conceal and guarding, but it's still a lot to set up, because remember, you have to move, open a door, then he did an extra APL to go on guard, so it's actually quite difficult to use, but still a very good kill team. Novitiates, I feel, are pretty much the same. They're in a weird spot at the moment. They're still a good kill team, but they don't like their opponents around them. Veteran Guard are probably on like the top tier of B tier. I think once again, it's just the meta as a whole reflecting around them. And, you know, it's just, they're still very powerful, but with the change to loot, I think that brings them down a bit. Then we've got the perfectly balanced Corsair Voids Guard. They're literally perfectly balanced. They've pretty much got consistently 50% for their win rate since release, and I feel B tier is perfect for them. They did like how the meta's changed a bit, but they're still perfectly B. We've got Phobos in B tier. Phobos are really good. Like, they're still a threat, but everyone above them still messes them up, right? They still fear Inquisition, like inquisitorial agents. And I feel B tier is appropriate for them. Obviously, if, like, what happens if we go to a new area in Season 3, I think they'll shoot up. But at the moment, I think this reflects where they are. Blooded, I think Blooded are at a solid spot at the moment. As I said, they really like fighting larger teams, except Chaos Cult. But as elites have kind of gone down a bit, they actually do enjoy hunting elites, but it's not good for this meta, if that makes sense. Then, like, Farstalker Kinband, I wanted to put in C tier, but I feel while they still can basically max all their attack ops turning point 2, they still have game, and they're still okay. They're weird. They're like in a goodish spot, but elites have got them better indirectly, so that's why I've just left them in B. Hand of the Archon, I think a solid B as well. They're kind of very similar to Corsairs, but just more shooty, and this meta is kind of not as good as it was before Ashes of Faith and, you know, Gallo Fall, but I think B is a good representation for the general player base. Exaction Squad I put in B tier. I've been speaking to people who think they're A or even S tier, but I feel they're a few buffs away still, right? They're a solid kill team now, but they're just missing a few things. Like, I think the only thing they really miss is like just manacles being 1 equipment point and working if you have 8 wounds or less, and, you know, maybe giving shields +1 to hit if they're not parrying, and probably maybe tweaking the sniper so it's like hitting on 2s or something like that. And I think that would probably just fix this kill team. They're almost there, right? But they're kind of living in B tier at the moment because how the meta is. They're an interesting kill team, but they require a lot of work. And then we've got Felgor Ravager kill team. I think they're just out of A. Like, they're flipping in between A and B for me. People are said they're dead on arrival, but they still work. You just have to be more careful with how you play them. And I think that's why I put them in B for now. People said they're like unplayable, but they do work. You just have to play smarter. And the problem is a lot of people don't like to play smart. And there's still work with Felgor Ravager. Like, you can still do lots of mortal wound spam and just tie people up in combat. But obviously, because they're so good on Into the Dark, that's definitely keeping them in B and almost why I put them in A. But I think top of beta is a good place for them at the moment. Like, they still love running into Phobos. They just smash like 12 wound Marines. So this is great for them. For A tier, we have Void Dancer Troop. They are great. They fly. None of their things have been hit for the last 3 to 6 months. So they are perfectly good where they are. Not good for us, but they're good where they are. You know, they still have like hunting elites, and the nerfs to Chaos Cult and Felgor Ravager help them a lot. So I think A is still fair for them. Hunterclade, they're still really good. They're probably the best all-rounder kill team. They actually do like what's happened with the balanced data slate, but I still think A is a great spot for them. They're not representing that in the stats, but I think it was just because people were playing quite gung-ho into Chaos Cults. But overall, I think they're in a really great spot, and they're just staying in A. Legionary I've put back up into A tier because they do love the nerf to Chaos Cults. That alone, well, along with the nerf to Felgor Ravager, push them up into A tier. Remember, like, they love where they are at the moment. They still do have to be careful about, you know, Chaos Cult, but they're still a great kill team, really flexible and especially powerful into the dark. Elucidity and Star Striders, A tier as well. You know, they've got a lot of powerful effects. They love the nerfs as well that other teams have received. You still have to play quite smart with them, and they fear rushdown aggro. But overall, still a really good kill team with lots of tricks. You still have to watch out for them. Then you've got Gelapox Infected. Now, I was actually going to put them in B tier, but I think they're still playable in A just because the Nightmare Hulks are so tough, right? Nightmare Hulks have 18 wounds with a 5-up DPR, which actually gives them more like 26 wounds. And the issue is, you know, Rust Emanation's got nerfed, so it only works in engagement range, which is actually a big problem for them, and it only works from the Hulks, which is why I was thinking like, oh, they're a B tier kill team. But I think the Hulks are so swingy. Like when you play into Gelapox Infected and when you're playing Gelapox Infected, the Hulks have to do all the work, right? Your little gremlins are so weak to die now. Mutants, glitchlings, everything else. That your positioning and use of the Hulks is so important. And I think that alone just keeps them into A tier, like they're borderline A. And they're a lot better on Into the Dark still. So I think that's what keeps them where, because I think if we put them in B tier, we just kind of forget about them, but they're kind of a threat that needs to be remembered. Then we've got Intercession in A tier. You know, they still don't like the nerfs they got, but they're still an all-around solid team. They love the nerfs to Chaos Cult and Felwar Ravager, but once again, they have to play smart. You're probably actually just going methodical and rapid. Durable and rapid, sorry. You may go methodical if you're only playing on Into the Dark, but at this point, I feel just paying a CP to ignore like all injury and modifiers is probably a better thing than just running methodical. But they're still a great flexible baseline kill team. Hyrotech Circle, back up in A. They still have like maybe now the nanomine will be reduced to range blue in diameter instead of range red. So because that would be great. And that alone keeps them in A tier. But they still have to watch out for inquisitorial agents, right? So at the moment, A tier, I think. Like they are a very dangerous threat. And if they can pin you down in key areas of the board, they can shut down kill teams. So that's why I think they're still an A tier kill team. Then you got inquisitorial agents. Definitely still A. Like, I mean, they've come down from S tier, but I think they're barely in the A tier in terms of like, they're just below S tier. Because you may have already guessed, I don't like the change to absolute authority. It should be once per game. Because the thing is, look, against Phobos, you just go, you stop Vanguard, turning point 1, turning point 2, you stop Bolter Drill. Hand of the Archon, you stop Fleet, turning point 1, and then you stop from Darkness Death. Right, and those are just the two main examples. There are lots of other kill teams that they can still just shut down for 2 CP. And the issue is they are still very flexible, but you're just running breaches with them, and they still have so much interruption, so many bodies, and they can pick any archetype. They are still, like, you still have to play them. You need to know how they work. But with breaches, it kind of makes them crazy. So even with all the nerfs they've got, like I don't expect them to be generally like a 60, like above 55%, but they're going to be a threat if you know how to play them. And if you know how to play them well, you can shut down people. So you really need to watch out for inquisitorial agents, especially if you're Phobos, Hand of the Archon, any kill team that relies on a key strategic ploy during a game, like especially Turning Point 1, you have to watch out for these guys. And then we come to the S tier. So for the S tier, we have Orc Commandos. They are probably the best kill team in the game right now, although there's a caveat, right? So 11 activations, they probably shouldn't have. Being able to sneaky get up to 3 times, they probably shouldn't have that either. And what else do they love? They love the change to forward deploying Into the Dark. Like, because the way it's changed now, as it happens before the start of the turning point, they can move through, open a door, and then you shush to dash forward after. So you can put your knob, like, and they don't have to stay concealed as per the current wording. Apparently, rules as intended. If you forward deploy, you're supposed to stick with the order, like, so, like, you're supposed to stay concealed. But That's not how it works currently. So that's one of the things, because basically you can alpha strike on Into the Dark with commandos with the knob on dynamite, which is ridiculous. But I think having 11 activations and being able to forward deploy everywhere is too good. Fortunately, they should probably just lose the Grot and the Bomb Squig. They have to pick one to swap out, because once again, they can give the Bomb Squig +1 APL, and the Bomb Squig can shush. So this Bomb Squig turning point 1 can shush 3 inches. Then you give it +1 APL, then it moves 9 inches and blows up with a 2-inch radius. So you can do lots of damage. This kill team loves hordes and badly designed boards. They actually do fear elites. And this is part of the tier list where I call out to all the intercession and legionary players to return to the game, return to those kill teams, and stop the commando menace, because our hope relies with you, because legionary and intercession will shut down commandos, because this kill team fears elites. Not so much Phobos, but definitely the other two. So elite players, please come back. Commandos are, well, I love commandos, right? They're dominating the meta, so please stop that. They're a very good kill team, very flexible and very tough, right? It's just kind of terrifying playing them. Then we've got Imperial Navy Breachers, still the best Alpha Strike kill team in terms of not turning point 1, but at the start of an a start of a turning point, right? Turning point 2, basically they breach and clear, activate 2 guys and blitz. And, you know, they've got their super crack, which is, you know, just deletes if you're bunched up. They're very flexible and they've got lots of tricks. They really need stims to go down, like go up to at least 2 equipment points, or I would say 3. But they're a weird, like they've still got great damage negation, 12 activations if they want, or usually 11. Really good, just a really efficient kill team that is like, I think they only really fear Inquisition, but they're still better than running Inquisition alone, and they are terrified of commandos and the odd Chaos Cult. And that segues me onto Chaos Cult, the best, like, they actually might be the best kill team in the game. They're no longer top of the cream of the crop. They actually don't like commandos to an extent, but I think they are either tied with commandos or just below. And now people may be going like, but John, they got all these nerfs. How can you say they're still in S tier? And I'm like, they've come down from like above S tier, right? They had shot through S tier into their own tier, right? They'd shot so far up, they'd become F tier. And all those nerfs did. They still need a lot more nerfs. And it's brought them down to sensibly broken. Like, they shouldn't fully heal, and they, like, devotees should kill to mutate instead of just slapping to mutate, and that probably fixes the kill team. At the moment, you know, there's still 15 bodies. It's a lot to go through. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if they actually lost 2 devotees. They have so many bodies. They are still a great kill team and almost undefeatable on Into the Dark. Like, the main thing they have to fear are commandos and to an extent legionary. Otherwise, they just have kind of free reign. They're a really powerful kill team, and it's kind of worrying how many people have just written them off, thinking they're not that good. They are still a terrifying kill team you need to watch out for. But yeah, this is the entire kill team and, well, kill team tier list. And remember, this is, you know, for Into the Dark and Open. So that's all for now. So overall, I actually think this meta is really good. You know, I did call that shout out to Intercession and Legionary players. While Commandos are dominating the meta, they are terrified of Legionary and Intercession. So if you players come back, you will actually save the game. But in a good way, in a nice way, right? So that's why I kind of think this meta is pretty good. Chaos Cult are still a problem, but they're more playable. I still think they're tied for best or just below best in the game. So don't go writing them off. They're still a big threat. And I think people have just kind of gone, oh, now they take too much work to play. But outside of that, and even breaches are just obnoxious to play against. The meta's really good. It's really fun to play. Like, if you play games now, you're going to have so much fun. And I think even though, like, we've got different tiers, the tiers are really close in terms of scaling. So even though something may be in like C or B tier, they can compete with any other kill team above or below them. And, you know, especially unless you're like E tier, if you're E tier, even the compendium teams in D tier struggle a bit. But otherwise, everything from like C tier and above is very close, which is much better. And it is a bit swingy when it comes into the Dark, or we separate for Open. But overall, I think this meta is really good. And the meta we should have had like 7 weeks ago, you know, and it's really fun to play again. So that, you know, that's the main thing. Like, as I said, while commandos are a threat and they still have problems, they still need to watch out for like elites. They really struggle into elites, and hopefully we'll see more elites come back. Chaos Cult, like if you just pressure them and you have the tools to punish them, it's not too bad. And overall, yeah, it's just fun. So hopefully we should see some more interesting data when the next like stats drop. So maybe not for August. We're probably going to have to wait for September because that's when we'll get a full picture. But I'm pretty hopeful for the game and very happy to play. And I desperately, happily encourage you to play as well. But remember, that's pretty much it from me today. I have an article version down in the episode description below. And remember, please like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Did you like the tier list or hated it? And remember, let me know what you think about the balanced Dataslate changes on the tier list. And I've also got a Discord down in the episode description below, as well as an affiliate link at Element Games and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Tom, Sam, Nick, Mr. Meatwad, Kenzie, John Thomas, Dad of Goldens, and Ben. And then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. Just one video because I have a lot to do. I will be at Warhammer World this weekend for their golden ticket event, but mainly for fun. So if you're around, come and say hi. It'd be nice to meet you. We can discuss tiers. Everyone loves tiers. But yeah, this meta is a lot more fun. I've played so many games recently, and it's just, I'm having fun again. And I think the game is in a really good spot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully we don't get actually another, I mean, I would like a balanced Dataslate, but I think we need to leave it at least like another two months at least. Maybe 3. So yeah, hopefully we won't see any more quick tier lists, like short tier list gaps. So this kind of like end of season 2 tier list, this is probably better, right? But yeah, until next time, no matter what the tiers say, remember there's always a hope as long as you can roll a crit and stay away from tier 15.